Hey everyone, it is great to have you here with me today for your stimulus update. On this episode, we have quotes from Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, and Stephen Mnuchin on the stimulus payment. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, the quotes from two of these individuals are really good, and from one of these individuals, not so much. Once again, welcome back to your stimulus update for today, Thursday, October 15th. So President Donald Trump was asked direct questions today about the next stimulus package and payment, and one of the really interesting questions he was asked is whether or not he would go higher than the $1.8 trillion number they've been offering Nancy Pelosi, and he said this: "Yeah, I will, and the Republicans will too, because we like stimulus, we want stimulus, and we think we should have stimulus." Clearly, he said he would go higher, which is interesting because Stephen Mnuchin is in the middle of negotiating with Nancy Pelosi, and you don't usually want to tell the person you're negotiating with that you would in fact go higher. So I'm a little surprised that he did do that, and he continued and said, "I would, absolutely I would say more, I would go higher, go big or go home. I said it yesterday," and he did in fact say that yesterday, go big or go home. So clearly he wants a higher number. Now, he also said the Republicans will too. I don't think so. The Senate Republicans are basically at their limit right now. $1.8 trillion is going to be extremely close to see if that would even pass the Senate, and it may not even be introduced on the Senate floor. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. And then President Donald Trump continued saying Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to give anything. She thinks it helps her with the election, and I don't think so. I think it hurts her with the election because everyone knows she's holding it up. We're not holding it up. She's holding it up. And then President Donald Trump was asked directly why he would not just then agree to the $2.2 trillion number. I mean, if you're willing to come higher on the 1.8, why not just agree to the 2.2? And this is what he said. Basically, he said Pelosi is asking for all sorts of goodies. She's asking for all sorts. She wants to bail out badly run Democrat states and cities. She wants money for things that you could never, just your pride could never let happen. So basically, he's saying that she wants way too much money to bail out cities that have been run poorly. Now, he's willing to offer $300 billion, but he doesn't want to go higher than that. And then he was asked, well, if you were going to go higher than that, well, where would the money go if not to the states? And he said directly to the people, directly to the working individuals. And so that was President Donald Trump on the stimulus. Obviously, all good stuff. He's not pulling back. He's not saying he wants to shut it down anymore. He wants to go big or go home. He is definitely okay passing a stimulus package. There is no doubt about that. A little weird, though, that he told everyone that he would go higher when Stephen Mnuchin is trying to negotiate a deal right now. Mitch McConnell, though, was also asked about stimulus today, and he explicitly stated that he basically would not put anything to the floor if it was in the range of $1.8 to $2.2 trillion. That is what he said. That is ridiculous. Put it to the floor. Let the Congress people vote on it. I think if he was pressured, he would put it to the floor. But it does show you where his mindset is. He's basically at a place where he doesn't think he would do it. I don't know about that. I might call him out on that one. But if it goes much higher than the 1.8, I don't think he will do it. So you got to be careful about going too much higher than the 1.8. Mitch McConnell added that my members think what we laid out, $500 billion, highly targeted, is the best way to go. So that's what I'm going to put to the floor. It's what Senate Republicans feel like is an appropriate response. I don't think so. I think $500 billion is not an appropriate response right now. You have way too many people who are out of jobs, businesses that are being shut down because of the forced shutdowns in the pandemic situation. I think it's very ridiculous. He's obviously bending towards those who are in the extreme end of fiscal conservativity on this one. I don't agree with the $500 billion number. I actually like the $1.8 trillion number. I think that's very reasonable. I would really stick right there with the $1.8 trillion number, and then in the future, if more stimulus is needed, approach it later. Mitch McConnell was then asked if it was possible that there could be a compromise at a higher number, and he said, I don't think so. Obviously, nothing very good. Like I said in the spoiler at the beginning of the video, the quotes from two of these individuals very good, one of them not so much. Now, of course, we know on Nancy Pelosi's end that they have some areas of disagreement. This direct quote coming from her spokesman, Drew Hamill, he said one major area of disagreement continues to be that the White House lacks an understanding of the need for a national strategic testing plan. The speaker believes we must reopen our economy and schools safely and soon, and scientists agree we must have a strategic testing plan. The issue is getting overblown. We've agreed to $178 billion overall for health. It is an extraordinary amount of money. We've agreed with the Democrats with $75 billion going to testing and contact tracing. So basically, he raised his number up to the $75 billion number. He's actually meeting them exactly where they are. Mnuchin continued and said, what we have been focusing on is the language around testing. When I speak to Pelosi today, I am going to tell her that we are not going to let the testing issue stand in the way. We will fundamentally agree with their testing language subject to some minor issues. The issue is being overblown. And so basically he's saying when it comes to testing and tracing, we are going to agree with what Nancy Pelosi is saying. Minor little changes here and there. The amount of money she wants, $75 billion, we're going to go with it. And $178 billion overall for health. And we feel like that's a good number. Hopefully the change in the verbiage that he's doing there and a little bit of the hiring of the numbers will be enough for Nancy Pelosi to say, okay, now we'll go with the deal. And maybe she will call McConnell at his bluff. Because the thing is, if Nancy Pelosi holds out too much longer on what really is a very good compromise deal, the $1.8 trillion, which is actually even getting better for her now, it would look even worse for her if she doesn't go along with it. So she might. And if she does, then we're going to have to see what the Senate does. And it is extremely close in the Senate right now because as the numbers go higher, more and more Senate Republicans drop off. And Mitch McConnell is even sounding hesitant about putting something like that to the floor. So if Nancy Pelosi wants to be politically smart, she might want to go ahead and send it over to them and then let the Republicans take the fall if the stimulus doesn't make it through rather than her taking the fall. Because right now she is the one taking the fall, and rightfully so. I know obviously everyone listens to a lot of media sources out there, and depending on whatever bias or bend they have, they will try to defend her. Right now, she's really in an indefensible position because even her own progressive liberal colleagues, hundreds upon hundreds of Democrats are calling her out, and the Senate Republicans don't even want to do this. So we already have a bill that Republicans don't want to do, but the Democrats do want to do, but she's not doing it. So right now, she's clearly in the wrong and at the fault for not letting this go forward. At this point, with Steven Mnuchin agreeing to these things, she should send it over and see what happens. That might, in fact, happen if she doesn't want to hurt herself any longer politically. And she will probably end up hoping for political reasons that McConnell doesn't put it to the floor because it would look terrible for him if he didn't. So we will go ahead and see what happens with that. That is all the stimulus news you really need to know for today. So not much more major movement than that. We will continue to keep you up to date on these issues. As always, consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to have you come along with me. Once again, I will catch you next time.